Part 1. What should I do if someone takes away my fate? I will just kill her. Author, She Yet. Chapter 1. Ren walked in the street in a daze. The pedestrians around her avoided her. Many people covered their mouths and noses with disgust. She knew how embarrassed she was at this moment. She was dirty and smelled. Madam, please wait. Ren turned her head and looked at the deserted fortune-telling stall on the roadside with empty eyes. I have no money. The stall owner was a young Taoist priest. Even though he was wearing a Taoist robe, he did not have the aura of a Taoist monk. I think your face is very interesting. I will tell you a fortune for free today. Her face is interesting? Ren raised a self-deprecating smile at the corner of her lips. Isn't her life interesting? She is a disaster star. Wherever she goes, disaster will follow. She killed her mother, her grandparents, and her younger brother. Her biological father was afraid of being killed by her, so he broke off the father-daughter relationship with her early. The boyfriends she dated were either hit by a car today or robbed tomorrow. People who are close to her either have diarrhea when eating or encounter thieves when going out. In short, people who are too close to her will be infected with her bad luck and become unfortunate. Some people suffer from minor illnesses and disasters, while others suffer from major illnesses and disasters, and even lose half their lives. As for herself, she is even more unlucky. The first company was a shell company. After working for 3 months, the boss ran away and no one could ask for the unpaid wages. The second company was a pyramid scheme company. After working for a month, she was about to collect her salary when the police took her away. Only then did she know that the company was a pyramid scheme company. She almost went to jail. Fortunately, the police were very observant and let her go, but she didn't think about her salary. She finally got into the third company. On the third day after she entered the company, the boss ran away with his mistress, leaving the boss lady in debt. With the above 3 glorious work experiences, any normal company would not want her. Clearly aware of her situation, she did not dare to look for a job again, fearing that she would step into the trap again. She could only make a living by picking up waste and doing odd jobs. She made little money, and thieves would come from time to time. No matter how well she hid her money, it would be stolen. She didn't understand why thieves would come to steal when she was so poor, as if he would feel uncomfortable if he didn't steal all her money. In her daily life, there were many dangers. Sometimes when she was walking on the road, a flower pot would fall from the sky and hit her in front of her. Sometimes when she bought food, she would encounter robbers and murderers, and she would become an innocent injured passerby. Sometimes she almost choked to death while eating noodles. Luck never favored her, but bad luck never stopped. She thought she was unlucky enough, but she didn't expect that today, she was diagnosed with advanced gastric cancer, and the doctor said she would not live for more than 2 months. Just after leaving the hospital, she was splashed with dirty water by an unscrupulous driver, and she was as embarrassed as a drowned dog. Now she heard someone tell her that her face was interesting, and recounting her past, wasn't it interesting? The young Taoist priest seemed not to notice the self-mockery on her face. You and I are destined to meet, I promise I won't charge you. Ren looked at him numbly. Her life was already terrible, and she wanted to see what the young Taoist priest would say, so she sat opposite him. Birth date and 8 characters. Ren reported her birth date and 8 characters. The young Taoist priest pinched his fingers back and forth, muttering something incomprehensible. After a while, he raised his eyes and looked at her carefully, frowning more and more, and muttering unconsciously. Strange. Strange. Looking at the young Taoist priest's appearance, Ren didn't feel anything. Most fortune tellers use this routine, but he still asked a question considerately. Why is it strange? According to your birth date and 8 characters, it is a Zaiwa double-wrapped fate, which is a noble fate. I have been fortune-telling for many years, and I have never seen anyone with this fate. Noble fate? Ren laughed at himself. Is there a fate more precious than hers in the world? The young Taoist priest continued, your face is very interesting. You have a bad luck and a short life. According to your face, you should have died 2 years ago. You are really blessed to have survived until now. Ren sighed, Master, I really don't have money. He opened his pocket and found only a few coins. You will die soon, the young Taoist priest said firmly. There was a slight emotional fluctuation in Ren's empty eyes like dead water. Something is wrong, it's too abnormal. How can fate and face be two extremes? The young Taoist priest ignored Ren and sank into his own world. He kept calculating with his fingers and muttered something. His face gradually became more and more solemn, and a trace of anger appeared in his eyes. You are really unscrupulous. Huh? Ren was puzzled. The young Taoist priest said in a deep voice, you were supposed to have a noble life, but someone changed your fate and made you replace the other person's fate of loneliness and evil. Change fate? This kind of thing is too unbelievable and unheard of. You mean? As if he knew what she was going to say, the young Taoist priest said the next words for her. You were supposed to have a life of wealth and honor, deep blessings, and a happy family, but someone used secret means to steal your fate. The other person is enjoying the wealth and honor that originally belonged to you, while you bear the bad luck for the other person. Since her mother died, her grandparents left, and her father severed the father-daughter relationship with her, her life has been full of suffering. Now tell her that this was not originally her destiny. Surprise. Doubt. Hatred. Pain. Various emotions intertwined in her heart. She always thought that she was a disaster star, and it was she who caused her family to be destroyed. She has been living in guilt and pain for so many years. But now someone told her that she was not the culprit. Are you telling the truth? If what he said was true, who was changing her fate, causing her family to be destroyed and drifting alone? The Taoist priest nodded firmly with clear eyes, I am the 87th descendant of Genji sect, and I never lie. Isn't fate born? Why can it be changed? She didn't understand. The Taoist priest shook his head, fate is innate, but things are in human hands. There is a special fate in the world, which is the appearance of Pixia gathering wealth. If you find a person with this fate and keep him by your side, you can make your career prosperous and your wealth abundant. Some people who have committed too many sins will keep some people with strong fate around them to specifically ward off evil for them, so as to save themselves. As for you, the young Taoist priest paused, it is rare to change fate. This is the first time I have seen it. I have only heard my master mention it before. I didn't expect that there are still people in this world who can change their fate. There are really people who are better than you. Taoist priest, is there a way to crack it? If he is a liar, then he succeeded. His appearance is like a life-saving rope trapped in a swamp. Before the young Taoist priest spoke, there was a sudden sound of harsh brakes, the collision of vehicles, and the screams of pedestrians on the street. An out-of-control dump truck rushed towards them. The Taoist priest immediately pulled Ren up and dodged to the side. The dump truck flew past them in a thrilling manner, hitting the stone pier behind them, and sparks flew out. Are you okay? The Taoist priest looked at Ren. As soon as Ren opened her mouth, the fishy and sweet blood flowed out in large mouthfuls. She lowered her head, and a piece of iron on her chest pierced her heart and lungs, and a cut was made in her throat. It seemed that God was afraid that she would not die, so he gave her a double insurance. The Taoist priest hurriedly took out the talisman paper from the cloth bag, and the talisman paper burned in his hand, but it quickly went out. He sighed helplessly. If he had met her earlier, perhaps his fate would not be like this. From his expression, Ren understood that this was her end. Thank you, she uttered 2 words with difficulty and ambiguity. She could clearly feel that her life was passing away. She only hated that she met the Taoist priest too late, and had no time to find the mastermind and give herself justice, let alone revenge for her mother, grandparents. She hated the insidiousness and viciousness of the person behind the scenes. In a trance, a sigh came to her ears, and the sound was erratic, as if it came from the sky. It's one step too late after all. What should I do if someone takes away my fate? I will just kill her. Author, Mo she mo yet. Chapter 2. Ren Ran, will you be my girlfriend? There was a buzzing sound in her ears, as if there were countless flies and mosquitoes flying around. Suddenly, her shoulders sank, and the force was so great that it woke up the person who was wandering in the void. Ren Ran opened her eyes, and the dazzling sunlight made her dizzy. Ran Ran, are you so happy that you're crazy? She squinted her eyes slightly and looked at the youthful and beautiful face in front of her, with a little immature. Su Li. Su Li smiled and said, you're not really excited and crazy. Hurry up and agree, Pei Ming is still waiting. Ren Ran looked at the door of the dormitory, where there were heart-shaped roses placed. In the middle stood a handsome boy, holding flowers in his hands, staring at her with a smile in his peach blossom eyes, with the confidence of determination in his eyes. Looking around, there were familiar faces in the strangeness. After the immaturity on their faces faded, she could vaguely tell that they were all her high school classmates. The once vague memories gradually became clear. This vigorous confession ended in vain after the dean of teaching arrived. Pei Ming and her, the heroine of this incident, were taken to the office by the dean of teaching for education, and were criticized by the whole school during the radio gymnastics on the second day. The two read the self-criticism in front of all the teachers and students in the school to warn others. She never expected that Pei Ming would claim in his self-criticism in front of all the teachers and students in the school that she seduced him and threatened to die. He did such a thing for her life safety, and deeply reflected on his improper handling of the matter, which caused a bad influence. It was from this incident that she became a joke in the whole school and a bad example in the mouths of parents. Amid the unbearable rumors, her grades plummeted and she suffered from depression. It was her mother's careful care that pulled her out of the abyss little by little. When she cheered up, her mother died. Now she is back to this day again, and she will never let this happen again. Pei Ming, it's time to pay back the hatred of the previous life. Ren Ran saw the dean wearing a wig coming towards the side. She opened her voice and said loudly, Pei Ming, have you looked in the mirror? Pei Ming was stunned. The students watching were also confused, but those who reacted quickly understood and covered their mouths and laughed. Be your girlfriend? You are not worthy. She is not beautiful, but she thinks beautifully. Pei Ming was completely stunned, as if he didn't expect her to say so. Su Li pulled her sleeve. Ran Ran, what's wrong with you? Didn't you say that you like Pei Ming? That's because you like him. You don't dare to confess yourself, but you look at men in my name. I didn't expose you before because we are friends. You should never disturb my study. Pei Ming wanted to refute, but Ren Ran's little mouth chattered, not giving him a chance at all. My parents sent me to school to study, not to fall in love. You have romantic thoughts in your mind, but I only have math, physics, and chemistry in my mind. Whoever asks me to fall in love is my enemy. The dean of teaching standing outside the crowd was shocked and looked at Ren Ran with admiration. Pei Ming felt the strange eyes from all around, and her face flushed. She didn't know whether she was scolded by her or embarrassed. What are you doing here? The dean of teaching shouted, and the students made way. He looked at Pei Ming with unkind eyes. Pei Ming, it's you again. Come with me to the office, everyone else go away. It's not decent to be here. As soon as the two left, the others followed. Su Li grabbed Ren Ran's hand. Ran Ran, what's wrong with you? Don't you like Pei Ming? I'm helping you, aren't you happy? she said sarcastically. Shake off her hand, she didn't have time to play sisterly love with her here. When she was caught up in rumors, her good friend not only did not help her, but instead confirmed her guilt behind her back and completely nailed her to the pillar of shame. She couldn't afford such a good friend. She left the annoying Sully behind her and hurried home. She pushed open the door of the villa and saw her mother alive in the living room. Her longing and grievances surged out at this moment, and she rushed forward to hug her tightly. Rensuya looked at her little firecracker in her arms and patted her back. Ran, what's wrong? Ran didn't speak, but hugged her mother tightly, tears falling silently, and the low sobs gradually turned into wailing. This abnormal behavior scared Ren's mother. Did someone bully you? Tell mom, mom will help you get justice. No one bullied me, I just miss you. Mom, I miss you, I really miss you. Her voice choked. Rensuya reached out to wipe the tears from her face, gently and dotingly. You silly child. I just saw you half a day ago, do you miss me so much? Tell me, did you encounter something, or are you short of money? I had a terrible nightmare. In the dream, you left and I could never find you again. Rensuya didn't know whether to laugh or cry. You girl, even nightmares can scare you, or you made of rabbits. After calming down, Ran wiped away her tears and stuck to her mother. It feels so good to regain what you have lost. At this moment, the door of the villa opened, and her father Konglji came in with a bouquet of flowers. Ran looked up at her much younger father, without any joy, only hatred. The love she once had for him disappeared when he brought his mistress and illegitimate daughter to the door and forced her mother to death. She once thought that her father loved her mother and her. But she saw with her own eyes that her kind father defended his mistress and his illegitimate daughter. No matter what they did, her father believed them unconditionally, vented all his faults and anger on them, and spoke ill of them. Her mother could not accept her father's betrayal, and could not accept that his former love was all lies. On a stormy night, she took sleeping pills and committed suicide, abandoning her. Konglji looked at the mother and daughter, gave the flowers in his hand to Rensuya, and handed a box of cakes to Ran. Ran, Dad brought you your favorite durian 1,000 layers. In the past, she would have happily hugged her father and acted like a spoiled child, but now she had no strength to do it. Konglji looked at his daughter strangely, noticed that her eyes were red, as if she had cried, and asked with concern, "What's wrong? Who bullied my baby daughter? This girl had a nightmare." Konglji smiled, "You girl, Dad thought something happened to you." Looking at the father in front of him, he felt sick. How did he do it, playing the role of a considerate husband and a kind father in front of them? Doesn't he feel disgusted? She wanted to expose his true face, to save her mother and prevent her from repeating the same mistakes. Looking at his hypocritical consideration and hypocritical kindness, she clenched her hands into fists. Warm reminder, if you find that clicking the next page will force you to jump to other websites, please use the chapter error or contact us at the bottom to inform us. We will deal with it as soon as possible. Thank you for your understanding. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. What should I do if someone takes away my fate? I will just kill her. Author, She Yet. Chapter 3. Endure. She must endure. She was not going to alarm the enemy, she had to tear open her father's hypocritical true face little by little. She wanted her mother to find out little by little and slowly accept the process. It was not like in the previous life, when she suddenly knew about this matter and could not bear the blow, so she was unable to recover and let the mistress ride on their heads and bully them. Konglji saw that his daughter did not rush over as usual, and was wondering in his heart, and then he saw her hugging his daughter-in-law's hand and said coquettishly, "Dad, I don't eat." I want to lose weight. Konglji's doubts dissipated instantly, and he smiled and responded, okay, okay, if you don't eat, your mother and I will eat, and see how long you can endure. The mother patted her hand lovingly, you little greedy cat, don't cry and regret it later. Ren Ran imitated her former self and stuck out her tongue playfully. At night, she acted coquettishly and asked to sleep with her mother. The couple couldn't resist her and had to agree. Close the door, so that they can whisper. Mom, what kind of person do you think Dad is? Ren Suya thought for a moment, your dad is a responsible, family-oriented man, and a very good father. Mom, can you tell me how you and Dad met? Did you chase Dad, or did Dad chase you? Ren Ran seriously played the role of a curious child gossiping about his parents' past. Ren's mother was pestered so much that she smiled and said while recalling, once I met a group of hooligans on my way back to school. At that time, your dad suddenly appeared and beat the hooligans away for me. After meeting on campus several times, the relationship between the two gradually became familiar. Ren Ran looked at the happy look on her mother's face, and her heart was filled with sourness. Because she knew all this was fake. There was no hero saving the beauty, but there was a deliberate approach. She really wanted to tell her mother that her father didn't like her at all, he had someone in his heart, but he didn't want to struggle, so he found you. Mom Ren Ran couldn't listen any longer, so he interrupted her and hugged her mother with both hands. Mom, Dad won't betray us, right? Ren Suya was surprised. She always felt that her daughter was weird today, and what she said now was even more ambiguous. Ran Ran, have you heard any rumors? I'm just asking casually. Ren Ran said this, but her face showed I'm so worried. How could Ren Suya not see, you're hiding it from Mom now. I. Ren Ran was entangled. After a long while, he seemed to have made up his mind and looked at her worriedly, I saw Dad being intimate with a woman. Mom, don't think too much, maybe I saw it wrong. Ren Suya felt her daughter's worry. Mom, don't tell Dad about this. I'm afraid Dad will be sad and think I don't trust him. Silly child. Looking at her daughter's worried and cautious eyes, she reached out and touched her cheek. Mom won't tell. I believe in your dad's character. Ren Ran buried his head in his mother's arms, feeling uncomfortable. She knew that one or two words could not shake her father's position in her mother's heart, but she was not afraid. She believed that water dripping through the stone would wear away the stone, and one day her mother would see the true face of the person beside her. Today, I will plant a seed in my mother's heart, let her explore it little by little, and slowly grow it. The process may be painful, but she will be with her, and together we will cut out the cancer in her heart little by little. Mom, do many people know my birth date? Although Ren Suya felt strange, she still replied, everyone in the family knows. Dad, Mom, grandparents, and grandparents all know. Others should not be so clear. Speaking of this, I remember that some time ago, your aunt, cousin, asked about your birth date. Aunt. My mother is the only daughter of my grandparents, and this aunt is my mother's cousin. The two families have a good relationship. Why did my aunt suddenly ask about my birth date? Girl, have you forgotten? Last month, my aunt gave you a Buddha amulet. It had been so long since we last met that Ren Ran had forgotten about it. After her mother reminded her, she remembered that there was such a thing. At the beginning of last month, my aunt and her family went to Thailand for a trip and asked for a Buddha amulet for everyone in the family. They said that they got it from a very famous and effective temple in Thailand. Everyone in the family has this peace amulet. Ran Ran, why did you suddenly ask about this? I just want to see if you care about me. Ren Ran didn't know that at this moment, in Ren Suya's eyes, she looked like a frightened child, who seemed to be eager to prove herself through something. Ren Suya caressed her daughter lovingly, Ran Ran, whether it's mom or dad, we all love you. Yeah. The mother and daughter fell asleep in each other's arms. Listening to the even breathing beside her ears, Ren Ran opened her eyes, without any sleepiness, staring at the ceiling. Her thoughts had already wandered into the void. If what the Taoist priest said was true, the tragedy of her previous life was caused by the change of her fate. The only people who knew her birth date and time were her close family members. Did her family members leak it intentionally, or did they know it accidentally? She couldn't blind herself because of the hatred in her previous life and bite whoever she caught. She had to analyze calmly and figure out who was behind it. Suppose they leaked it intentionally. Combining the past life and the young Taoist priest's statement, there are two parties who benefited, and both are related to her. The two suspects are not others, but her close relatives. The first one is Konglji, her biological father. His lover Ruan Fengruo, who was raised outside, was very successful in the previous life and was a well-known strong woman in the business world. Their daughter Konglian even entered the entertainment industry. In just 2 years, she squeezed into the ranks of top-tier young actresses. She is a famous national goddess and her career is booming. Emotionally, she is also enviable. It is said that the princes of the entertainment industry are all her pursuers. Although Konglji's help is indispensable here, and the assets of their Ren family are still used, it must be said that they were smooth and prosperous in the previous life. The second one is Ren Shiyun, her cousin. My aunt's family has always had a good relationship with them, often having dinner together and giving gifts during festivals. Since their family began to go downhill, my aunt's family has been thriving. She used to be the child of other families in the mouths of adults and a role model that relatives would pull out. But I don't know when this person became my cousin's daughter Su Ying. All the glory and praise she once had was transferred to Su Ying. At that time, my cousin's husband's supermarket was so prosperous that he opened more than a dozen stores in one go. After her mother was killed by Konglji and Ruan Fengruo, she asked them for help, but they not only did not help, but also ridiculed her. Ren Ran knew that people would be forgotten when they left, but their behavior did not make people forget about them, but instead added insult to injury. What should I do if someone takes away my fate? I will just kill her. Author, Mo She Mo Yet. Chapter 4. They obviously had a good relationship before, but in the blink of an eye they became enemies who wanted to trample them to death. This change is too fast. From this, it can be explained that my aunt's family had a purpose in being nice to them before, but in fact, I couldn't figure out how to hate them. It is not difficult to understand why such a person would change his fate. It is important to find the mastermind behind the scenes, but the most important thing now is to find out whether your destiny is exchanged with others. She thought of the young Taoist priest in her previous life. He claimed to be the 87th generation successor of Jendao, but he did not know his name or Taoist name. Even if she didn't know clearly, she still had to find that person. The next day, as usual, after having breakfast at home, Ren Ran was driven to school by Konglji. "Dear daughter, do you have enough pocket money?" Konglji asked thoughtfully. "Not enough." Ren Ran extended his hand politely. In her previous life, after she was kicked out of the house by Konglji, Konglian came over to stimulate her and told her that her father gave her 500,000 yuan of pocket money every month and often bought her bags and jewelry. The money belongs to the Ren family. Looking back at myself, I only have 50,000 pocket money every month. Usually my father keeps brainwashing my mother, telling her not to let her develop the bad habit of lavish spending. On weekdays, her mother would buy jewelry and bags for her, and she would wear clothes custom made by her grandparents. Where she can use the money is to buy food and socialize with friends. She doesn't have a strong desire to buy, and 50,000 yuan is enough for her. She didn't feel much when her father made this request, but when she thought about the 500,000 monthly pocket money he gave his illegitimate daughter, it was all the Ren family's money. Recalling his father's words, Ren Ran sneered in his heart. It turns out that there is no love from the beginning. Kongji took out a stack of red tickets from his briefcase and said, "Take it." In the past, she wouldn't have picked it up at all. After all, she is not short of money. If she is really short of money, she still has the supplementary card given by her grandparents. But this time, she took it without hesitation and felt the thickness, which was about 2 to 3,000. This money is a lot for ordinary people, but for them in the upper class, this little money is not enough to treat the little sisters to a meal. Ren reached out and snatched his briefcase and took away all the money inside. This move really shocked Kongji. Ren looked at him with a smile, making a funny expression as if his plot had succeeded. "Dad, that little money is not enough, you can't be stingy." She pulled out a few and stuffed them back into her bag. "Well, don't say that your daughter doesn't love you. But she left you food money." Kongji didn't know whether to laugh or cry. Okay, my baby loves me the most. I only promise it once, and I won't do it again." Ren smiled, waved, and watched him leave. Turning around, the smile on his face suddenly faded. As soon as she entered the school, someone came up to her to gossip. "Ren, do you know that Pei Ming has been given a demerit? The person who came was classmate Zhao Yi. In their previous life, the relationship between the two was mediocre, but when she was framed by Pei Ming, she stood up and spoke for her. Pei Ming is a popular figure in the school, and it stands to reason that he is very popular with the little girls, but Zhao Yi dislikes him the most. Pei Ming was unlucky this time, so she could not avoid gloating in her tone of voice. Fortunately, you refused yesterday, otherwise you would have been implicated by him." Ren frowned. "Is it just a demerit?" Zhao Yi was startled. "Yes. Isn't this enough?" Before, Zhao Yi thought that Ren had a good impression of Pei Ming, but now it seems that there is no good feeling at all, and there is simply hatred. Oh, Ren nodded. In their previous lives, the two of them clearly wanted to review themselves in front of the entire school's teachers and students, but now they are just demerits. Could it be the effect of her butterfly flapping its wings? Zhao Yi was shocked again. Classmate Ren seemed to be really dissatisfied with the result. Anyone who dared to say that Ren liked Pei Ming in the future would definitely be deliberately slandering him. When she entered the classroom, Su Li was chatting with several close classmates. When she saw Ren, she looked away and ignored her. Some people are really harmful to others. If I don't give others the signal that they can love me, how can they express their love in a big way? Now I have caused the other person to be punished, but I have picked it innocently. It's really a white lotus. People like this are very dangerous, and they will be stabbed in the back at any time. Please be careful in the future, Su Li said loudly to the classmates around her. Everyone in the classroom glanced at Ren and Su Li. Ren put his school bag on the table. Some people secretly love each other. They like each other so much that they kneel down and lick his feet. They know that they are not good enough for him, so they can only be like the rats in the ditch secretly. What is even more shameful is to use the name of a good friend to contact the other party openly, and go to the man again and again, claiming to be doing a favor to the friend. Everyone should be careful about this kind of person who has one thing on the surface but another behind his back. I don't know if she was sold. She had never liked Pei Ming in her previous life or now. What she just said was not a malicious accusation. Su Li has liked Pei Ming since she entered school and has been in love for 2 years. Pei Ming's family background and appearance are undoubtedly superior. Su Li's family background is average and her appearance can only be considered delicate. She knows she is not worthy and feels inferior, but she wants to see Pei Ming all the time and wants Pei Ming to know who she is. She kept talking in front of her about how good and outstanding Pei Ming was, with "I like him" written all over her face. She didn't dare to approach Pei Ming alone, so she often pulled her to give herself courage. After all, her family background and appearance were even better than Pei Ming's. As a good friend, she was naturally happy to help. If the two of them got together, she would be considered a half matchmaker. But I don't know when, but there was a rumor that she liked Pei Ming. You are slandering me and talking nonsense, Su Li retorted angrily. Ren Ran took out his mobile phone, opened the chat interface, and clicked on one of the voice messages, in which Su Li's voice was clearly heard. Pei Ming is too good, I am not worthy of him, I just want to follow him and protect him silently. Do you need me to release more explosive news? Su Li's face flushed red, and she felt the strange eyes cast by the classmates around her, looking at her with resentment. You are shameless. Su Li rushed over and tried to snatch the phone, but Ren Ran pushed her away. She lost her balance and fell heavily to the ground, staring at Ren Ran with hatred and tears of shame in her eyes. Ren Ran was not afraid of her fierce eyes and looked down at her. Ren Ran, I thought you were a good friend, but I didn't expect you to treat me like this. Su Li still said this and ran out of the classroom aggrieved, leaving a group of onlookers looking at each other in bewilderment. Is she mentally okay? Zhao Yi said in surprise. She was not the one who started the trouble, but was slapped in the face. How could she still put on the face of a victim? What should I do if someone takes away my fate? I will just kill her. Author, Mo she mo yet. Chapter 5. Zhao Yi's words express the thoughts of most of the students, but there are still a small number of people whose values are always different from others. Ren Ran, you are leaking other people's privacy, which is illegal. A classmate who is good friends with Su Li chimed in. Before Ren Ran could start to criticize him, Zhao Yi jumped out first. Oh, I really don't know when proving my innocence becomes a crime. Isn't it a crime when your master slanders others? You are only allowing the officials to set fires, but not the people to light lamps. Don't be a double-standard dog. You. What do you mean by me? Zhao Yi put his hands on his waist and said arrogantly, do you have the ability to ask your master to produce evidence to prove that what she said is true? The person ran away directly, probably because there is no evidence. If there was evidence, it would have been produced long ago, and Ren Ran would still be able to speak nonsense here. Classmates, do you think I am right? Yes. That's right, a male classmate who was watching the fun shouted loudly. Others laughed even more, and the one who laughed had a red face, covered his face and ran out of the classroom without looking back. Seeing this, several other students who were on good terms with Su Li did not dare to speak again, and lowered their heads to reduce their presence. Ren Ran looked at Zhao Yi, thank you. Zhao Yi shrugged at her indifferently. In the previous life, Su Li naturally did not find fault with him. At that time, she wanted Pei Ming to be punished together, but she did not expect to be framed by Pei Ming. She was not the heroine of the abused article, her mouth was glued with 502 glue, and she did not explain for herself. She refuted and was about to take out her mobile phone, but was told by Su Li that she accidentally lost her mobile phone. When she returned to school that day, Su Li asked to borrow her mobile phone to make a call. As a friend, she did not think so much, so she naturally gave it to her. Unexpectedly, she stabbed him in the back. Needless to say, she did this because she was instructed by Pei Ming. He wanted to save his reputation and threw all the dirty water on her. As Pei Ming's lick dog, how could she refuse his request? So, she had no words to defend herself in her previous life. At that time, she understood that Su Li betrayed her for a man, or maybe she never regarded her as a friend, but only as a bridge tool to contact Pei Ming. It is clear who the lick dog will choose between a tool and a male god. In her previous life, Ren Ran's principle of being a person was to treat people sincerely. Only by giving sincerity can you get sincerity. Therefore, she treated her friends and family sincerely and without any defense. But the experience of the previous generation made her understand that sincerity may not be exchanged for sincerity, but will bring honey poison. She will not repeat the same mistakes in this life. In this life, she did not fall into the trap and was not taken away by the dean of teaching, so Pei Ming naturally did not need Su Li to steal things. This made it convenient for her to prove her innocence, let Su Li sit in the previous position, and let her also taste the white eyes and spit in the previous life. After the incident in the morning, Su Li didn't dare to find fault again, but she could feel the resentful eyes behind her staring at her from time to time. After school, Ren Ran sent a text message to her mother, reporting in advance that she would be back later. Then she took a car to Jiangbei City, got off the taxi, and looked at the old storefront in front of her according to the address, revealing the decoration of the times. She looked at the house number and then the name of the store. The address was correct, the only difference was the name of the store. She was looking for 007 Detective Agency, but now the name of the store is 007 Laundry. Ren Ran pushed open the door, and there was a row of washing machines with computers, and a small door at the back. She pushed open the small door, and there were several desks inside, with various documents scattered on the desktop, and various words scribbled on the drawing board. The messy office environment was daunting. In her previous life, when she was down and out, this detective agency did a shocking thing that set off the entire internet. If she didn't remember this incident clearly, just looking at this working environment would be daunting. The person on the sofa heard the noise, tore off the newspaper on his face, and looked at the person with sleepy eyes. "Little friend, the laundry is outside, you can't come in here. Is this a detective agency?" The man on the sofa stood up and looked at her. "I'm looking for someone." Su Zaiyin scratched his messy hair and said in a rough voice, "Are you an adult?" "I'm already 18 years old and have the ability to act." Ren Ran handed the ID card to the other party. Su Zaiyin took a look. "Who are you looking for?" "The 86th generation disciple of Genji section." "Do you have a photo?" She shook her head. "Name?" She continued to shake her head. "Appearance characteristics," Su Zaiyin frowned. Ren Ran described the appearance of the young Taoist priest based on her memories of her previous life. Su Zaiyin drew while listening. "Is it like this? The eyebrows are too thick, a little lighter, the curve of the bridge of the nose is too blunt, a little sharper." According to her description, after repeated revisions, the figure on the drawing board looked more and more like the Taoist priest she had seen in her previous life. "Yes, that's what he looks like, but he will look younger." Su Zaiyin nodded. "You didn't give too much information, it's a bit difficult, the price will be higher." "How much?" 50,000. Deal. Ren Ran paid a deposit of 10,000 yuan, and the remaining 40,000 yuan will be paid after the person is found. "How long will it take to find him?" "It's not certain. If it's fast, it will be within a week, if it's slow, it will take 3 to 5 months, or even longer. It's hard to say when someone is found." Disciples of the successor of the Genji sect, this seems to be a limited scope, but many Taoists dare to call them that, and the information given by customers may not be accurate. Time waits for no one, she doesn't have that much time to wait. The matter of fate is too mysterious. If the fate is really changed by someone, the luck will decline, and it will be constrained everywhere. People often say that the time, the place, and the people are right. This is not a joke. The bad luck she experienced in her previous life made her deeply understand the invisible terrifying power. No, to be more precise, the power of the rules of heaven. If you find someone within a week, I will give you an extra 50,000. If you find someone within half a month, I will give you 20,000. Su Zaiyin's eyes lit up. "It's a deal. I haven't received an order for a long time, and I'm almost hungry. Wow, today I finally got an order, and it's a fat order." Su Zaiyin excitedly took the order, happily sent the god of wealth to the door, and watched the god of wealth leave. In the autumn afternoon, the summer heat faded away, and the breeze blew with a slight coolness, making people drowsy. Ren Ran sat in the viewing stand of the playground, looking at the young boys and girls below who were waving their youth. Zhao Yi hurried over, looked around, and went straight to the viewing stand, panting and sitting beside her. She leaned closer and said in a low voice, "Ren Ran, you have to be careful of Su Li." She turned her head to look at her. Zhao Yi looked around, afraid of being heard. "I just came from the grove and saw Su Li and Pei Ming together. They seemed to be talking about something. I couldn't hear it clearly, but I vaguely heard your name." You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. What should I do if someone takes away my fate? I will just kill her. Author, Mo she mo yet. Chapter 6. You have enmity with the two of them, and now that they are together, you always feel uneasy and kind-hearted. Be careful, Zhao Yi reminded kindly. Thanks. Why are classmates so polite? Zhao Yi smiled happily. After class, Su Li blocked Ren Ran's way. Ran Ran. Is something wrong? Ren Ran looked at the person in front of him coldly. I have something to tell you. No time. She walked forward. Su Li's eyes were anxious, and he stepped forward quickly, trying to reach out to pull her, but she avoided it. Of course, considering that we have been friends for many years, can you give me a few minutes? Okay, you tell me. Ren Ran crossed his arms over his chest. This is not the place to talk. Can we go to the old place? Su Li begged with red eyes. She said nothing. Su Li was anxious, with a cry in her voice, and looked at her pitifully. Ran Ran. Every time she showed such an expression before, she would always buy it. After all, they are good friends, and it doesn't matter if she spoils or accommodates him a little. But some people are kind-hearted and treat it like a donkey's liver and lungs, and they don't take it seriously at all. Ren Ran walked towards the rooftop. When she saw this, she felt happy and quickly followed. Say it. Going up to the rooftop, Ren Ran leaned against the door, looking at her with cold eyes. Su Li gritted her teeth. Of course, it was my fault yesterday. I shouldn't have said that to you. I was bewitched by Pei Ming. He told me that it was you who seduced him and hinted at him that made him boldly confess. I just ran over to confront him, and he accidentally let it slip, and I realized that I had been deceived by him. Damn it, I believed his lies. Little angel, can you forgive this stupid friend of yours? With tears in her eyes, she begged pitifully. Lu Fufeng's weak appearance is really heartbreaking to see. It's a pity that Ren Ran doesn't feel anything at all. If he had to say he felt anything at all, it would be nausea. She said nothing, just looked at her quietly. Su Li was so frightened by the sight that she didn't dare to look at her, and subconsciously lowered her eyes. Of course, you hit me and scold me. I will never fight back or retaliate. Ren Ran still didn't move. Seeing that she didn't move, Su Li felt anxious. Ran Ran, don't you believe it? I'll call Pei Ming right away and confront him. She hurriedly looked for her phone, eager to prove her innocence. She said with an embarrassed look, I left my mobile phone in the classroom. Can you use your mobile phone to call him? You are my best friend, and I don't want to alienate each other because of a man. After hearing the word mobile phone, Ren Ran made up his mind, and after going round and round, the two of them came up with this idea again. For the sake of our many years of friendship, I believe in you again. Ren Ran took out his phone from his pocket, unlocked it thoughtfully, dialed Pei Ming's number directly, and then handed the phone to her. Su Li suppressed the excitement in her heart and took the phone from her hand. Pei Ming, come to the rooftop right now. If you were a man, come here now. Don't be a coward, don't let me despise you. Do you have the ability to say what you said to me before? Su Li became more and more excited, and she slowly moved to the edge of the rooftop. Ren leaned against the door and just watched her performance quietly. Suddenly, Su Li exclaimed, and the phone slipped from her hand and fell down. Ren's lips curled up slightly, and a hint of sarcasm flashed across his face. She was panicked, with a frightened and apologetic look on her face. "Of course, I'm sorry, I didn't hold the phone just now and it dropped." Her eyes were fixed on her face, the expected anger did not appear, and it was so calm that she felt a little uncomfortable. Ren straightened up and said, "If it falls, it will fall." She breathed a sigh of relief. She knew that if she gave in to her, she would still treat her as a friend. The next second, the corners of her raised lips froze. "This mobile phone is the latest model of Pineapple. It is not sold in China yet. My uncle brought it to me from abroad. It only costs 12,000 yuan. Just remember to pay back the money." Su Li stared blankly at her leaving figure, and after a while she cursed, "Bitch, what's the big deal?" When Ren walked downstairs, the cell phone that was supposed to be lying in pieces on the ground was gone. Needless to say, he knew that the body of the cell phone had been disposed of. She shrugged indifferently and touched the other phone in her pocket. Who doesn't have a mobile phone or two? She was really looking forward to the big show the two of them had prepared, and went home humming a ditty in a good mood. Ren didn't have to wait too long for this big drama. At noon the next day, Pei Ming stopped her at the door of the cafeteria. At this time, it can be said to be the busiest place in the school. Ren. Pei Ming stepped forward and blocked her way. "A good dog stays out of the way." He didn't move. Zhao Yi said, "Didn't you hear? A good dog doesn't block the way." Pei Ming glanced at Zhao Yi with cold eyes. The other person was startled and did not dare to speak again. He looked away and looked at Ren again, his eyes becoming depressed and resentful, looking pitiful as if he was cheated by his girlfriend. "Ren, I just want to find out. Since you don't like me, why do you look for me every day, bring me delicious food and give me gifts every day? Isn't it fun to play with me?" The last sentence was shouted directly. There were already a lot of people at the entrance of the cafeteria, but now that he was yelling, people who had not noticed them before were now looking at them sideways. Pei Ming is a celebrity in the school. The news that he boldly confessed was rejected and was punished has long spread throughout the school. Now that the two parties involved in the scandal are in trouble again, everyone wants to see the gossip and be a spectator at the scene. More and more people are watching. Many people don't eat, but come to see the gossip first. Some are even more ruthless. They just hold the plate and eat while watching the fun. Seeing more and more people around, Zhao Yi is a little worried and carefully pulls her sleeve. Ren shook his head at her, indicating that it's okay. In his previous life, he put the blame on her head on the podium in front of all the teachers and students in the school. In this life, he chose to perform it again in the school cafeteria. It's easy to whitewash when there are many people, but sometimes it's easy to drown yourself. Many girls who love Pei Ming heard him say this, and the scales in their hearts easily fell to him. Yes, if she doesn't like Pei Ming, she would definitely not be bold enough to confess her love for him given Pei Ming's looks and family background. Could it be that Pei Ming was fooled by Ren? Did Ren know that the dean was coming and said that on purpose, fearing that she would be implicated? If that's the case, she's too unkind. This is like roasting Pei Ming on the fire. Her heart is damnable. It's so funny. Are all confessions mutually agreeable? According to your logic, as long as you confess, you can succeed. Then can I confess to Pei Ming? If he doesn't agree, he's fooling me. After all, you've studied for so many years, and you don't even have this kind of brain. What should I do if someone takes away my fate? I will just kill her. Author, Mo She Mo Yet. Chapter 7. He dares to say that, so it must be true. right? It's hard to say. Voices of agreement, rebuttal, and suspicion intertwined. Ren sneered, Pei Ming, I know you are shameless and irresponsible, and I have seen it today. She didn't plan to talk nonsense. If time went on, the teacher would come, and she wouldn't have time to show everyone a complete play. You and Su Li teamed up, thinking that if you destroyed my phone, you would have no evidence. As she spoke, she took out an identical phone from her pocket and smiled at him and Su Li in the crowd. Pei Ming and Su Li's faces changed drastically. Classmates, let's witness the shamelessness of our classmate Pei Ming together. Ren raised her phone high, and uploaded all the voice and chat screenshots that she had sorted out before, as well as Su Li's performance on the rooftop not long ago, so that everyone could see it all at once. I have packaged the chat content and sent it to the campus network. You can download it. Everyone took out their mobile phones to log in to the campus network. At a glance, they saw the latest post, and everyone rushed in. In less than half a minute, a series of cries of grass rang out one after another. So cheap. Oh my god, Su Li's coquettish operation on the rooftop is simply amazing. This pair of scumbags and bitches is really disgusting. How can there be such disgusting people in our school? Pei Ming is preparing to throw dirty water on Ren to whitewash himself. This behavior is too disgusting. By the way, does he really like Ren like this? This kind of person only likes himself. Fortunately, Ren prepared a backup, otherwise he couldn't wash it off even if he jumped into the Yellow River. Pei Ming has been a child of destiny since he was a child. This is the first time in his life that he has felt so much malice. Unable to bear the ridicule and scolding from all sides, he pushed away the crowd and fled. Su Li followed him away. Several good sisters who had been around her before also distanced themselves from her, fearing that they would be implicated if they got too close. One of the parties left, and the people around him also dispersed. Zhao Yi gave Ren a thumbs up, great. I was worried that you would be tricked by them before. Thank you for reminding me anyway. You're welcome. As Ren expected, the rumors that fell on her in her previous life were now placed on the two of them several times. Pei Ming asked for leave directly, but Su Li could not, and could only face the contempt and insults from all sides alone. Ren did not hide this matter from his parents and grandparents. The Pei family and the Ren family had some business dealings, and their friendship was not deep, but they were also close. It's outrageous. My daughter's innocence was almost ruined by him. This matter can't just be let go. Ren Suya was very angry. Kongji hurriedly comforted him, wife, don't worry. I will contact Mr. Pei about this matter and see what the other party's attitude is, and then we will make plans. His son has ridden on our daughter's head and shit, can you still tolerate it? Ren Suya glared at him fiercely. That's not what I mean. If you don't stand up for my daughter, I'll let dad go. No, can't I go? Ren watched his father's various excuses throughout the whole process, and sneered in his heart. At this time, a guest came to the door, and the visitor was the father and son of the Pei family. Let someone enter the house. Pei's father held a whip in his hand, and Pei Ming, who was naked on his upper body, followed behind him. Brother Kong, sister-in-law, I came here today to apologize to you too. It was because I didn't educate my son well that he did this. I brought him here today, and you can do whatever you want with him. Pei's father pushed Pei Ming over. Pei Ming looked constipated, but he didn't dare to disobey his father, so he lowered his head and said nothing. Ren Suya looked at Pei Ming's miserable state, and her anger subsided a lot. If he really beat him, that would definitely not work. He had already shown his attitude, which was quite a face-saving gesture. Ren wanted to beat him, but he couldn't do so, for no other reason than that it would be too easy to be exposed. In order to show his sincerity, Pei's father took action himself and beat Pei Ming's back a few times, leaving red marks on his back soon. Ren Suya looked at that appearance, and her anger subsided a lot. After the two heads of the family went back and forth, Pei's father gave Ren Ran a set of jewelry worth millions, and this was considered to be the end of the matter. When he returned, Pei Ming would definitely have a hard time. If he had a hard time, Su Li would not be much better. Sometimes the mental damage caused by rumors is more tormenting than physical damage. In just a few days, Su Li's face turned visibly darker, and her whole spirit became depressed. On Friday, Ren Ran received a message from Su Zaiyin. Found. After class in the evening, Ren Ran went to the 007 detective agency immediately. Su Zaiyin was still sloppy, with a messy hair and a pair of dark circles under his eyes, which showed that he had risked his life to get the extra reward of 50,000 yuan. Take a look. Su Zaiyin put a piece of information in front of her. She picked up the instant noodles and ate them in big mouthfuls. She looked at the young Taoist priest in the photo and was sure that he was the person she was looking for. Where is he now? Tehi Mountain. Su Zaiyin slurped 2 mouthfuls of instant noodles and took out a note from his pocket. It's his contact information. Ren Ran dialed the number above, but no one answered. After making several calls in a row, no one answered, so I sent a text message directly to the other party explaining the purpose of my visit. Su Zaiyin finished his last bite of instant noodles and wiped his mouth with satisfaction. Boss, look at the cost. Scan the QR code to pay. Looking at the amount received, Su Zaiyin's face was full of smiles, and his eyes looking at Ren Ran became softer. CAI boss, if you need anything in the future, please feel free to contact me. My business scope is not limited to finding people. I can do any role playing, filling in, cleaning, or acting as a bodyguard. The business is quite broad. Hey, how about supporting the family? There is no shame in making money. After leaving the office, I met an acquaintance as I walked out of the street. Su Li looked sullen when she saw her. Ren Ran had no intention of paying attention to her and stood on the roadside, preparing to call a car to leave. Out of the corner of his eye, he saw the Pei Ming family's car parked on the roadside and Pei Ming got out of the car. Ren Ran raised his eyebrows slightly, turned on his toes, and walked towards Su Li. What do you want to do? Su Li came over and looked at her warily. What can I do to you in public? Su Li thought it was right, and suddenly felt that she had overreacted just now and stared at her with hateful eyes. Ren Ran came closer and put his hand on her shoulder. When she wanted to shake it off, she heard her cold voice, "Don't move." Su Li, considering the years of friendship between you and me, do you want to get rid of your current situation? Su Li stopped moving and let her rest on her shoulder. A look of hope rose in her eyes. Will you help me? After all, we have been friends for many years. You only need to answer one question for me. What's the problem? Su Li was still vigilant, but her face was relaxed. Did you do it voluntarily, or did Pei Ming force you? Su Li's eyes flickered. Pei Ming forced me. Actually, I didn't want to, but he. She lowered her head. Ren Ran looked past her and landed on the person hiding behind the street tree. The corners of his lips raised, and he gently patted her shoulder with his hand. He spoke louder, "Don't worry, after this storm, I will prove it to you. This thank you very much. Without you, I would not have succeeded." Su Li was startled, and Monk Zhang was completely confused. She understood the first part, but she really didn't understand the second part. Before Su Li could ask, Ren Ran waved at her and left. What the hell? Su Li muttered. Pei Ming, who was hiding behind the street tree, heard the last sentence clearly. His anger rose and he clenched his fists. Bitch. Pei Ming turned and left. He couldn't move the Ren family. How could Su Li move? He has never been plotted against like this since he was a child, and the other person is still a licking dog that he doesn't like at all. Suli waited for Pei Ming in the coffee shop for a long time, but she didn't see him. She called him several times, but no one answered. Seeing that the coffee shop was about to make samples, she left disappointed. He must have been busy with something and forgotten. She lowered her head and walked forward. Suddenly, a pair of hands stretched out from her side and pulled her deeper into the alley on one side. Before she could open her mouth to scream, a pair of big hands covered her mouth. She struggled in fear, but the strength of a girl could not match that of an adult man. A piece of cloth was stuffed into her mouth and she was pressed to the ground. A group of people punched and kicked her, and she whimpered in pain. Some people pass by here, just take a look, and then leave in a hurry, not daring to meddle in other people's business. 20 minutes later, a group of people left in a hurry, leaving only the dying Suli. Before she fell into coma, Suli had only one thought in her mind. It must be that bitch Ran. What should I do if someone takes away my fate? I will just kill her. Author, She Yet. Chapter 8. Jingle Bell. Ran stepped into the classroom and started self-study early. Everyone immersed themselves in review questions to consolidate their knowledge. Ran is more serious than anyone else. She has been away from school for more than 10 years and has forgotten almost all her high school knowledge. In less than a year, she will take the college entrance examination, and she doesn't want to regret it. In her previous life, she suffered from depression and was unable to study normally. She did extremely poorly in the college entrance examination, failing to pass 3 books. This has always been a regret in her heart. This time, she wants to get into a good school and make her mother and grandfather happy. As soon as the bell rang, the quiet classroom suddenly became lively. Zhao Yi rushed to her and opened the table and chairs aside. Ran, Suli didn't come today. Do you know the reason? What reason? She already knew it, but couldn't tell. She really didn't expect Pei Ming to move so fast and strike so hard. No matter how much Suli said, she treated him with all her heart and soul, but in the end, she didn't ask a single question and just asked someone to beat her to death. Tisk, so cruel. Suli was beaten. She was taken away by an ambulance that night and was seriously injured. Her legs and hands were broken. Now she is in the sprint stage. She looks like this. I'm afraid she has to repeat her studies, Zhao Yi he said with a smile. She is such a bad person. She might have offended someone outside and got beaten up, Ran's desk mate complained. At this moment, a middle-aged couple appeared at the door of the classroom. They looked around the room. Who is Ran? The students didn't know why, and some looked at Ran subconsciously. The middle-aged couple noticed and followed their gaze to Ran. Ran thought for a moment and remembered who they were. Suli's parents. When she was the eldest daughter of the Ren family, she had never met Suli's parents. Suli never took her to their home, let alone introduced her parents. It wasn't until after her family was destroyed that Suli's parents threw a mineral water bottle at her on the street. Suli sat in the back seat of the car, admiring her embarrassment as if watching a play. Suli also specially introduced to her parents that she was her high school classmate. She will never forget what Sue's father and Sue's mother said that day. You are the eldest lady who followed my Lily in high school. Why do you rely on picking up trash now? Tisk, tut, you are so pitiful. Seeing as you have been kind to our Lily in the past, here are the 20 yuan as a reward. Sue's mother found a 20 yuan note from her wallet and threw it out of the car window. Sue's mother ignored the ugly look on the face of the person opposite her and continued to enjoy the pleasure of trampling on the person she used to look up to. You don't need to thank us too much. This is what you should do. Take the money and have a good meal. Sue's father said to Suli in the back seat, don't stay with such poor people in the future. Once you get entangled with such a person, you won't be able to get rid of him. Suli smiled sweetly, Dad, I understand. She smells so bad, so I won't be with her. I feel dirty even if someone like her carries my shoes. The memory of the past was interrupted by Sue's mother's sharp scream. It's you, the murderer of 1,000 cuts, who found someone to cripple my daughter. Give me your daughter's life. Sue's mother rushed towards Ren Ran like a ferocious beast. Ren Ran reacted quickly, stood up, and stepped back. You are so vicious at a young age. I will send you to prison, Sue's mother shouted angrily, and her ferocious face frightened many students. As soon as the class bell rang, the students watching the excitement outside reluctantly left. The teacher came over after hearing the news, and several teachers grabbed Su Li's parents and comforted her in a good voice. Su Li's father, Su Li's mother, don't be anxious or impulsive. We can talk about anything if you have anything to do. Teacher Zhao was so anxious that sweat broke out on his forehead. Impulse is the devil. Sue's mother said angrily, what else is there to say? This little bastard asked someone to beat my daughter to death. How did your teacher educate the students? How did you teach such vicious students? She is responsible, and your school also escaped. It doesn't matter. Her words made the teachers in the classroom look very unhappy. Teacher Zhao could not have a conflict with the parents, so he patiently reassured her, if it is really Ren Ran who has a problem, our school will never tolerate it. This is not the place to talk. Let's find another place. Sue's mother just wanted to speak, but Sue's father stopped her. Okay, listen to the teacher, Sue's father said calmly. Teacher Zhao secretly breathed a sigh of relief. Fortunately, one of the couple could communicate normally. Ren Ran, you come with the teacher, and the rest of the students will study by themselves. Ah, dissatisfaction echoed one after another. Lao Zhao glared at these little bastards and left with several parties involved. As soon as she arrived at the office, Sue's mother wanted to step forward and scratch Ren Ran, but Ren Ran reacted quickly and hid behind Lao Zhao. Lao Zhao almost got slapped by Sue's mother, and his face turned dark. The other teachers hurriedly grabbed Sue's mother. Don't move, let's listen to what the teachers say first. As soon as Sue's father spoke, Sue's mother immediately stopped, and the teachers couldn't help but breathe a sigh of relief. My daughter was beaten yesterday and now her legs and hands are disabled. The doctor said that even if the injury is healed, she will become a cripple and her hands will not be as flexible as before. She will be disabled for the rest of her life. I am fine, my daughter is now like this, how can I not be angry as a mother? Sue's mother cried in tears. After hearing this, the teachers in the office all understood Sue's mother and no longer cared about her crazy behavior before, and sympathized with her in their hearts. Mother Sue pointed at Ren Ran, my daughter is popular in school, and the only person she offended was her. Lily told me that she was beaten up after meeting her. This little bitch must be holding a grudge and deliberately seeking revenge. Do you have evidence? Ren Ran crossed her arms. My daughter's words are evidence, and she is the person involved. She heard those people report to you with her own ears, and you can't escape. Father Sue spoke at this time, you are responsible for Lily's medical expenses, mental damages, and future losses. If you don't want to go to jail, compensate us 50 million, and we can issue a letter of understanding to exempt you from jail. If you disagree, we will call the police to deal with it. The teachers all came to their senses. They didn't call the police, but came to the school instead. It turned out to be for money. Teacher Zhao looked at Ren Ran, something like this happened, you ask your parents to come to the school. On the way here, I sent a message to my mother. She will be here soon. Teacher Zhao nodded with satisfaction. Ren Ran changed the subject, I also called the police. What? Teacher Zhao was stunned. The other teachers were also stunned. The Sue couple looked at her in shock. What do you mean? Sue's mother asked with a glare. You are listening to novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. What should I do if someone takes away my fate? I will just kill her. Author, Mo she mo yet. Chapter 9. I called the police for you, don't thank me too much. Ran smiled, with a hint of dust and dirt. Aren't you afraid of being arrested by the police? Afraid? I haven't done anything wrong, what should I be afraid of? The police are here just in time to clear my name. Oh, by the way, you were just about to extort 50 million from me and damage my reputation, just let the police handle it together. You. Sue's mother was so annoyed and anxious by her coquettish operation. Rensuya and the police arrived at the same time. On the way here, Rensuya had already understood what happened. She entered the office and immediately rushed to Ran. After carefully looking at her, she was sure that her daughter was fine, and she couldn't help but breathe a sigh of relief. Sue's mother saw the parents coming and kept talking. You are Ran's mother, right? Your daughter hired someone to beat my daughter to disability. If you compensate us 50 million, we will not pursue this matter. Otherwise, your daughter will be taken to jail. You don't want your daughter to go to jail, do you? Rensuya took her eyes off her daughter and finally had time to deal with other people and things. Your daughter was beaten, why do you say it was my daughter? Do you have evidence? If you don't have evidence, you are slandering and ruining my daughter's reputation. When Sue's mother saw that they didn't admit it, she was immediately anxious. They didn't care about the life and death of their own money loser at all. What they cared about was how much compensation they could get in this incident. After receiving the news last night, they rushed to the hospital. They didn't want to treat her, but when they heard their daughter say that the person who beat her was the eldest daughter of a rich family, the couple immediately had a plan in their hearts. After asking their daughter about the situation of the rich classmate, they couldn't wait to come to ask for money early in the morning. They decided to get this money. If she didn't do it, she must have something to do with it. Anyway, she can't deny it. When the two sides were about to fight, the police asked, "Do you have evidence to prove it?" The Sue couple looked at each other and smiled awkwardly. "Comrade police, this is what happened. We don't have evidence, but my daughter heard the beater report to her with her own ears. So, this matter cannot be wrong. She was not there in person, she just heard the beater report, right?" Yes, Sue's mother nodded affirmatively. "Besides this, is there any other evidence? Isn't this enough?" The policeman said tactfully, "Is there any other evidence to prove it?" No, Sue's mother felt uncomfortable with the police's questioning method. "Comrade policeman, what do you mean? Isn't this enough to prove it?" The policeman tried to keep smiling. "Madam, you said that these evidences cannot prove that this matter is related to classmate Ran. Sue's mother was angry. "Why didn't my daughter mention other people, but pointed out her? Who would point out someone for no reason?" "Yes, it's you," Ran said. "Don't you just think that our family is rich and want to catch a fool to extort money?" "Uncle policeman, they asked for 50 million right away. My daughter was beaten, but I didn't call the police. Any normal parents would not do this." "You dead girl dare to spit blood, you are really an uneducated thing," Sue's mother said and was about to scratch her. She was stopped by the quick-eyed and quick-handed policeman. "Ms. Sue, speak properly and don't touch me," the policeman shouted sternly. "Are you going to favor them? Are you police officers afraid of offending the rich?" When Sue's father saw the two police officers' faces turn dark, he quickly pulled her back with a flattering smile on his face. "My wife said something wrong, she didn't mean that. It's really because she felt bad seeing her daughter being beaten like that. Comrades, don't bother with her." Then he changed the subject. "A few days ago, my daughter had a conflict with her and became enemies. She had enough motives, not to mention that my daughter heard with her own ears that the person who instructed her was her. One of the police officers called his colleague and asked someone to go to the hospital to take Su Li's statement. You said that your daughter heard with her own ears that the person who beat her reported it to me, Ren Ran said. Yes. Report with what? Call. Or what? Of course call. What time? This. The two hesitated, completely unclear. According to reason, whoever advocates should provide evidence. Ren Ran handed the phone to the police officer. I will be a good person to the end and prove my innocence to avoid being bitten by a mad dog. It's annoying. Since last night, my phone has not received a single call. You can check with the communication company, where there are records to prove it. How do we know that you only have this phone? Sue's father retorted. Ren Ran sneered. Now that the number is real name registered, you can go to the communication company and retrieve the communication records of all the card numbers under my name. You don't know this, but the police know it very well. They had just contacted the communication company, and the results were not out yet, and one of the police officers received a call from a colleague. After a while, he walked back to the office, glanced at the Sue couple, and smiled and returned Ren Ran's phone to her. This matter has nothing to do with you. Sue's mother disagreed. Why does it have nothing to do with her? How did you police investigate? Are you protecting her? Sue's father also had a gloomy face. Sue's mother stepped forward to scratch Ren Ran. Ren Ran grabbed her mother's hand, and the two hid behind the police officer. Ren Suya was stunned for several seconds before she reacted. Ren Suya is an elegant and intellectual woman. Everyone she meets is very well-mannered. She has never seen such a shrew. If you continue to do this, we have the right to take you back to the police station. Seeing the two police officers angry, Sue's father pulled Sue's mother. Comrade police, what's going on? The police officer finally had a chance to speak. An hour ago, a video appeared on the internet. Someone accidentally took a video of your daughter being beaten. After that person posted it on the internet, it attracted the attention of the Internet Information Security Center. They launched an investigation and found the perpetrator in the video. The other party has just been arrested, and the information of the employer was found from that person. It just so happened that the bureau knew that we were investigating this matter, so they notified me. You are lucky, we will take the employer back later. Both the Sue couple were confused. They didn't want to arrest other people, they just wanted to get some money from this rich girl. The police officer frowned slightly at the unhappy expressions of the couple. Ren Ran asked curiously, who is the employer? Although he knew it well, he still had to ask to help promote someone. He is also a student in your school, named Pei Ming. The teachers were shocked. Ren Ran looked at the Sue couple, uncle and aunt. Don't worry, Su Li's medical expenses and compensation don't have to worry. What do you mean? Don't you know? Pei Ming is the son of the president of Manu Life Group, Ren Ran said innocently. What should I do if someone takes away my fate? I will just kill her. Author, Mo She Mo Yet. Chapter 10. The Sue couple's eyes were shining, and their greed was undisguised. Oh, my dear, I'm so sorry. I wronged you. Auntie, I can't afford to be sorry for you. Ren Ran looked at the police officer. Police, these two people came to the school to destroy my reputation and extorted 50 million yuan. The amount is huge, I have to sit there for several years no matter what. Prison. Sue and his wife were dumbfounded. You kid, why are you so vicious? Father Sue hurriedly said, girl, this matter is all our fault. We were confused and wrongly blamed you. I will teach Lily a lesson later. Your wife rushed up to me and beat me several times. Just because of this, I can't let it go. Ren Ran pretended to be angry. Sue's father slapped Sue's mother on the face. This move shocked everyone present. They never expected that Father Sue would be so quick and decisive. In the end, this incident caused no actual harm, And it was all in a small area. The most the police could do was ask for an apology. After all, it is considered a civil dispute at most, not a criminal dispute. Ren Ran is just trying to scare them. The teacher and the two police officers were both smart people and cooperated in persuading her, and Ren Ran agreed not to hold them responsible. After all, she still wanted to watch a show. The fighting power of the couple was enough for Pei Ming to drink a pot. On the campus tree-lined path, Ren Suya flicked her daughter's forehead with her finger. "Why didn't you tell me as soon as such a big thing happened?" "Mom, I was wrong. If anything happens in the future, I will tell you." Ren Suya looked at her daughter carefully, wondering if it was her imagination. Her daughter seemed to have grown up and was able to stand alone. "My daughter is better than her. Mom, if anything happens in the future, you can't hide it from me." Ren Ran got vaccinated in advance. Good. After sending her mother away, as soon as Ren Ran returned to the classroom, Zhao Yi and others immediately showed her the videos on the internet. She had seen this video before. "Yesterday, I saw Pei Ming coming to see Su Li. I originally wanted to alienate the relationship between the two, but I didn't expect that Pei Ming gave her such a big surprise." After separating from Su Li, she temporarily printed a list for Su Zhao and asked him to follow Su Li. She wanted to see what tricks Su Li and Pei Ming were planning so that she could deal with them in advance. As a result, Su Zaiyin sent her a video. She asked Su Zaiyin to publish this video through someone else's hands. There is only one purpose for doing this, and that is Pei Ming. There is a saying, "It is not polite to come and not go." He played a card, and she couldn't come up with a card that was worthy of their painstaking efforts. As expected, the Su couple did not disappoint Ren Ran. The Pei family refused to give them the ideal compensation. The couple ran directly to the door of the Pei family's company and started shouting and making a fuss. This incident was even posted on the internet, causing a stir. Quite a stir. The Pei family responded quickly and found someone to suppress the news on the internet. Mr. and Ms. Su are a piece of meat, clinging to the Pei family and not caring about their daughter in the hospital. They refused to give the hospital money, so Su Li was asked to leave. The Su couple simply pulled them to the door of Pei's company and let everyone come and watch. Su Li wanted to die. She wanted to stop her parents, but she couldn't persuade her parents who had fallen into the trap of money. The Pei family was so annoyed by this couple that they unfortunately paid 5 million to get rid of the pair. After this incident, everyone in Haishi knew about the Su family and the Pei family. Pei Ming and Su Li are also completely famous in Haishi. Without Pei Ming and Su Li's troubles, Ren was able to calm down and study. The biggest wish of her grandparents in her previous life was to see her go to college, but she couldn't wait until she went to college. She cannot let them regret in this life, she wants to be their pride. While studying, Ren Ran never forgets another thing. Every time after returning home, he would always find an opportunity to secretly get a long hair in Konglji's clothes, or put a little lipstick somewhere. These past few days have been comfortable and peaceful, but she knows that the comfort is only on the surface. If the mastermind behind the scenes is not uncovered, she will not be able to rest in peace. Ren Ran, where are you going to play during your short vacation? Let's go to the beach. What about you? My mother took me to Xinjiang. Xinjiang is very good, it's beautiful there, Ren Ran said with a smile. After walking out of the campus, Ren Ran saw his mother's car parked outside the door. After saying goodbye to Zhao Yi, he got in the car. Ren Ran looked sideways at his mother, clearly feeling that her mother was worried. Mom, are you very tired recently? I haven't been sleeping well lately. Her mother didn't want to talk to her anymore, so she didn't ask any more questions. When the mother starts to let go, she will speak naturally. When disappointment accumulates to a certain level, love will disappear. She understands this. Mom, I made an appointment with my classmates to go to the beach together during the long vacation, just. She stretched out her little hand and rubbed her thumb, index finger, and middle finger back and forth. Rensuya chuckled lightly, okay, I'll transfer it to you later. Don't tell your dad, or your dad will say that I dote on you too much. Definitely don't tell. The next day, Ren did not go to the beach, but went to Taehi Mountain with Su Zayin. She has been calling the young Taoist priest for the past few days, but has not been able to get through. Su Zayin asked someone to ask, but the result was that he could not be found. The two agreed to take a short vacation and go directly to Mount Taehi to find someone. Taehi Mountain is a Taoist resort and a famous 5A level scenic spot. Arrive at the foot of Taehi Mountain in the afternoon, stay one night at the foot of the mountain, and prepare to set off again the next day. The Taehi Mountain scenic area is very large. They are not going to the tourist area this time, but to an unopened area. Few people go there. Only practitioners and ascetics go there. Su Zayin figured out the route in advance. The two of them need to stay in the mountains for 2 days before they can reach the place where the young Taoist practices. Bring your outdoor survival equipment, enter Taehi Mountain from the tourist area, then turn to a sparsely populated path and turn into the uninhabited area. Entering the dense forest, the scenery is pure and natural without human development. Although the scenery is beautiful, the road under your feet is difficult to walk. According to the direction of the compass, they walked along a road that is not considered a road. In order to prevent accidents such as getting lost, many marks were made along the way. 2 days later, the two arrived at the adobe house where the young Taoist practiced in a mess. They called for a long time in front of the door but no one was seen, but it was too dangerous to go into the deep mountains to look for them. There are wild beasts in the mountains and forests, and the two are not familiar with the terrain, so it is easy to get lost in the forest area. The things they brought with them were enough for them to spend for 5 days. If they were frugal, they could last for 7 days. The two discussed and prepared to set up a tent outside the door of the adobe house and wait for him to show up. They went out to look for him during the day, but they didn't dare to go far. 1 day, no results. 2 days, still no results. The 3rd day was their limit. If the other party didn't show up today, they had to go down the mountain tomorrow. From day to night, the person they were looking forward to never showed up. In front of the campfire, the shadowy light was reflected on the faces of the two. "Why do you have to find him?" Su Zayin asked curiously.